Hey, this is Emily. How are you? I had the good fortune of attending the meeting today for Transgender Memorial. It's a day of special remembrance to commemorate all those who struggled and sadly were victims of hate crimes or sadly took their own life because of the animosity and hatred towards them that led them on a path where they had no or they felt they had no other choice. It's really a tragedy when good people have to struggle so much, and it breaks my heart. And when I was in a function at Bayshore at the GLBT Center, um, and I felt that I fit in because of my own personal struggles with transgender and my situation. And actually, I got all dolled up for the occasion. I went to my first beauty salon appointment, and they really did me up nicely. I'm like totally amazed, and I feel wonderful. They took good care of me, and the girls were very caring and understanding because they think that I am a good person. And I'm only being myself. I'm not any different. I always believed that Ed and Emily are truly the same person. I love my son, he's autistic. Actually, I went to visit him at the hospital today, and we're still kind of trying to figure out what's the best options for him right now. And it's very upsetting to me to see my son struggling so much. It kind of breaks my heart. But I don't have control over the situation. I'm trying desperately to find the help my son needs. And it really is hard. And I know because I struggled too. When I was a little boy, knowing deep down in my heart I was a little girl. So I know my son's pain. I lived it myself. One thing I must say about attending this meeting tonight was I was very touched by a lot of the speakers. Um, we all have our stories to share. And, I felt like I wanted to get up there and talk myself. I certainly could speak at least for a half hour on what I've been through. But maybe next time. But one thing I was struck by was the camaraderie amongst the transgender community and the people. There's a mix of transgender. You got male to female and female to male. And we're all in it where we can relate to each other even though we're kind of on the opposite of what we're going through. I have come to admire even the female to male transgender. But I've always identified and sought out male to female because in reality that's what I am. And you want to meet people that you feel a bond with. But I've actually made good friends with the other side of it. So, we're all struggling. It's not easy. But I believe you have to try to live the best you can. I've also been plagued with depression, suicide in our family history, raising a child with special needs, facing financial hardship and possibility of losing our house through foreclosure. So, I got a lot on my plate. I'm struggling with depression. I don't feel well enough to go back and look for work. And I don't know how long it will take me. I'm on disability. I just got it. Now my son will be entitled to disability. And from what I understand, it is permanent disability with Social Security. So, I need time away. I need to relax. I need to heal. I'm not going to go and look for work when, first of all, we're in the worst job market and worst economy that I can ever remember. And secondly, I can't work right now when I got too many things that I'm worrying about. And the primary focus that I need to put my energies towards is my son, getting him on track for school. I mean, he's on a waiting list for a residential school, and the school is way up by Syracuse, New York. It's a good 6-hour drive. And on top of that, he won't even have a chance to even be admitted into the school. He's accepted into the school, but his chances of starting the school year isn't until June of next year, 2014. And I've got so many worries. I'm worrying about foreclosure. I'm worrying about financial matters. I'm worrying about so many things that I can't even fathom the idea of working for a company where my energies and my professionalism would not be directed 100% to the company. It's not fair to them, it's not fair to myself. So the reality is I'm honest with people, and I tell them point blank, I cannot work right now. I had struggled and I had a nervous breakdown, and I suffered terribly. And you don't know what it's like. I lost my parents to depression. So, and I went through this already, so I don't feel like repeating it, because I am feeling like maybe I'm being too repetitive. I don't want to be repetitive, but I want to state a fact. Actually, this Saturday I'm going to American International Survivors, where we are introduced to several people who have been touched by suicide and who share their experiences, and they provide resources and I believe a documentary of some sort where they have interviews of people who have had to deal with the painful experience of losing a loved one through suicide, which is traumatic enough. Losing a person to begin with is hard enough, but when you compound it with suicide, it just makes it such a difficult concept to grasp. And then you wind up going through all these emotions and struggles, and you even start to feel guilty yourself for it. I know I felt that way for my dad when he took his life. But you have to get past it. You have to accept the fact that you're not responsible. Things happen to people. They struggle. They don't want to die, I believe. I believe that, but they just are so caught up in such a circle of being lost and not being able to find the help they truly need. And sadly, the only outcome that they believe will get them out of the pain is to take their life. I mean, I've been there. I've struggled all my life with being a girl inside myself, trapped, wanting to set myself free. This is my hairstyle. I always usually wear a wig, but I had the nerve to call up the beauty parlor and ask if they could style my hair. And before I went there, I told them that I'm male to female transgender. And I asked, does that matter to you? And they said, of course not. So I am very fortunate in the sense that I can now be honest and not be afraid or ashamed. And I find that people are very accommodating and accepting. And that's all I can ask for, you know? So I was very thrilled, and I can't tell you how happy I feel right now with this. You know, I have to learn how to maintain it and manage it. But, I mean, I've never felt as beautiful. And even the girls complimented me, and they even took a picture of me. So that really made my day. The only thing is, it is expensive. But the place I went, Mirage, by Delco Plaza, they do a wonderful job. And they treated me with respect and dignity. And I felt very good. And I was in good hands. and I got pampered, and I got to live the life of a girl finally, in the sense that I even got makeup, which I never really wear before. But all that attention was displayed towards me. Obviously, I paid for it, but it felt good, it was worth it, because that was my very first experience. Well, actually my second, but my very first actually doing the full 9 yards, because I got my hair colored. And on top of that, I got makeup, which I never did before. I never had the good fortune of having someone put makeup on. So that really felt good. So it was a very positive experience. And then combined with that was I got to see my son at the hospital, which was good. I went to my electrolysis in the morning, and she's like doing wonders for my face. I mean, it's truly extraordinary. And she's thinning out my eyebrows. She took a lot of, all the facial hair I used to have where I had to shave, you can hardly even see it now. And if you cover it up with makeup, it looks like I'm a girl naturally. And that's all I ever wanted. I just want to be accepted as a female. To be honest with you, I don't ever think I'm going to be able to be fortunate enough to have the surgery. I would love to be able to have the full surgery. Everybody who goes through being transgender has to grapple with many things. And one such thing is deciding on whether you want to go the full distance. And I knew from an early age that I was transsexual. I was transgender, but on the spectrum I was transsexual. And there's a test called the Cognati test, I believe. And, people can take it with a grain of salt. But it's like an inventory assessment on where you stand gender-wise. And it kind of gauges, but you can't rely on that as medical sufficiency to say that you're going to transition based on the outcome. But with that said, it only goes to show, in my case, what I knew all along. And I scored that I was 5, which is transsexual. And I knew that. I didn't have to be told that. I knew it when I was a 4-year-old. I didn't know the term. I didn't know transsexual from transgender from gender dysphoria. All I knew was I was different. And the basis for my being different was my struggle with gender. I didn't even know what gender was. All I knew is I felt like a girl. And I wanted to be a girl. I needed to live as a girl. I went to school with girls. I'm so sorry. Oh God. I didn't want that to happen, but I'm not feeling well either. I think I'm getting sick. But, tonight was a positive experience. Plus I got to meet new friends, and since going to these support groups, I really learn a lot. And it is very helpful, especially when you hear the stories of other people who relate their own experiences. And we even saw a 13-year-old girl with her mom who was transitioning from a boy to a girl. And I was amazed, When I was 13, I was going through the same feelings that this sweetheart was feeling. But in my generation, you wouldn't even be able to tell people what you felt. It's totally different today, and it's good, actually. It is good, because I think kids who feel that they are struggling with their gender, I think it's good that they can express that with their families, with counselors, with people they trust. Because the bottom line is, if you're unhappy if you feel so conflicted and you know that this is going to be a struggle that you're going to face every day of your life, then it's best to address it when you're young. In my case, it kind of worked out okay because, look, I got married, I have a wife, I have a son. You know, they mean the world to me. But at the same time, I feel guilty that I would put them through this feelings of transgender and struggling with my own identity and actually going to seek the treatment that I feel is necessary. And the very first step I took, aside from cross-dressing and seeking a therapist, and what cemented my need to complete what I started was when I got to familiarize myself with some of the transgender communities, such as the LGBT Center. I go to one in Bayshore, I go to one in Garden City, and I go to one in New York City. And the other institution that really is helping me tremendously is the Callan Lloyd Community Health Center, where I have a wonderful doctor, Dr. Juliet Widoff, who's helping me to transition from male to female. And the very first steps when you decide that you want to transition is to go on female hormones and anti-androgen or testosterone blockers. Once I got the go-ahead to go on the hormones, I was very excited, and I couldn't wait to sign the paperwork. And I remember my doctor, Juliet, was saying, "Wow, you really wanted to sign that quickly." So she knew my situation, and she was very kind about it. And the other thing was I used to go with a suit and tie to my appointment, my very first one. But underneath the suit and tie, I had a dress on, and my doctor kind of got a laugh when first she looked at me up and down when I told her I identified as a female, and she looked at me puzzled like. And then she said, "Well, I need you to take off your shirt and jacket so I can do some vital signs on you." So that's when she realized, oh yeah, you are transgender. Because underneath my suit and tie was a dress. And that was the only way I could dress when I was hiding in the closet. That was the only way. And even though it was underneath male clothes, it firmly affirmed what I knew I was. It was just sad and upsetting to me that I had to hide it. And that's the problem with most transgender, is that they have to hide what they are. And to be honest with you, why would you want to hide something that's a very big part of your life? It makes absolutely no sense. Why would anybody want to live and feel like they're not true to who they are? You want to be happy, right? I mean, most people, if we took a poll, I would say that one of the things that people strive for, aside from success and meeting a person and getting married, is they want to find true happiness. They want to be themselves. Most people are born where they don't struggle with their gender. However, on the opposite side, and I would include myself in this, are the ones that do struggle with gender. And it's not something that they hoped for or wished for or just created in their head. No way. This is something that they lived with and struggled with from the day they realized what was going on. And at first, they didn't even know what was going on. I didn't know. I had no clue. All I knew is I had this penchant for wearing girls' clothes. And I had to do it. And if I didn't do it, I would be miserable. So dressing for me was my affirmation in kind of knowing who I was. And it wasn't easy for me. I mean, it was a lot easier for me to get access to girls' clothes because I grew up with two sisters. Even though I was the oldest, I am the oldest. Somehow I managed to find a dress that fit me, even though my sister was 2 years younger. Because I was not a tall kid. I was a very small kid, so that worked in my favor. I also was a tough kid. 'Cause I had to have a tough exterior. I grew up in Brooklyn, and I wanted to blend in with the boys, even though I didn't really feel like one. Because in reality, I knew I couldn't go to school in a dress. I knew I couldn't present as a female. So my only choice was to try to bear with the fact that I was a guy. And I had to live knowing that that was my only way. So I used to hide my dressing. I was living in the closet, so to speak. And any time I had the chance to dress up, I took full advantage because that was the time that I had the true feeling that my inside was connected to my outside. Now, my experience at this beauty parlor today was truly amazing. I mean, I shelled out a good amount of money, but if you look at it from the perspective that it was my very first real time, I did go once before. However, that was just for a little trimming and neatening of my hair because it wasn't really that long. But the young lady who did my hair, actually I had two, and they were so sweet to me and even encouraging. They were very happy for me. And the transformation was totally amazing when I saw myself with the boy's hair, even though it was growing long, with the graying of it, and the women being so excited. And I asked the woman who was doing my hair if she ever did hair for any other transgender. And she surprised me and said no. So I was like, I felt like, wow, I was her very first transgender customer. And she said that she was very happy that I had the nerve to come into her shop and get my hair done. And the first thing I asked was for coloring because I wanted to kind of accentuate the feminine side of me. And how best to do that than to get your hair colored. So I went the full 9 yards, and I got my makeup, I got my hair. The only thing is maintaining it. That's my worry, is they did a perfect job. And I wish I could keep this forever. I mean, hence, there's a wig I have just in case. But when I got to see how I looked with my natural hair, and now that it's colored, it was the most incredible feeling. I mean, I just feel like a woman. And I am so excited. I am struggling with the fact that my family isn't really all that thrilled with the idea. And I have a 14-year-old son who's going through puberty. He's autistic. And now he's realizing that his father is a woman. And that is not an easy pill to swallow, especially for a kid who's autistic. But if there's anything that I can teach my son in life, it's that it doesn't matter, to really be honest with you, whether I wear a suit or tie or a dress. The bottom line is I never felt happier in the perspective of me dealing with my own personal crisis and struggle. I'm not saying that I'm happy overall, because no, that's not the case. First of all, my son is top priority in my life. even though I am Emily and that's important to me, the ultimate responsibility that I need to bear and I need to kind of get situated is the struggles that my son is going through and trying to find appropriate schooling for him. And if it means that he's going to go to a residential school, even though it's going to be quite a distance, this is something that we have to come to terms with, because we really want to do what we feel is right for our son. And him being home and getting frustrated and being bored to death and just miserable, that's not the way we want it. Sure, we're going to miss our son when he goes away. How could you not? And he's our only child. So it really makes me sad, especially now that he's in South Oaks. And, all he says is he wants to be home. But the thing that really troubles me is that when he's home, it just happens all over again. And it's like a never-ending cycle where I don't know who is helping him. It seems he goes to all these doctors, and nobody is really helping him. And that's my point of contention and frustration, because I, as a young kid growing up, never had the luxury of talking to a therapist or a doctor about my transgender situation, which I clearly identified as since the age of 4. I kind of had to bear it on my own. And I never went for therapy whatsoever, or even hinted at my transgender situation. And the time that I first made the attempt to come out was through sending 3 Christmas cards with a letter to my 2 sisters and a college buddy of mine. And it really didn't go anywhere, but they did receive it, and they read the letter, and they were touched, but they didn't know how to react to it. And I wasn't sure myself. So it kind of fizzled out, and there I was, back living as a guy. And it wasn't really something I had control over. I just tried to do it. I tried my best. The one good thing that came out of all of this is that I eventually got to meet a girl, and we married, and we have a son. Now, also, the sad thing is that my wife, who loves and respects me, still struggles with this. And I guess I can't hold that against her. She's a young woman. She deserves to be in the company of a man. And truly, I am not a man. I always knew I was a woman. That's how I felt all my life. So, I don't want to live a lie. But at the same time, I had to hide what I was going through because I was scared. I didn't want to lose my friends. I didn't want to lose my job. And in the end, it all happened anyway. I lost many friends. I lost my job. I had to go and get a new job. The new job misled me. I thought I was going to be